Happy Thursday. Get your happy on with me, Olivia B.O.B, your savvy social humorist. Please say hello in the comments. Let me know how you're doing today. And tell me, what's your favorite song? So go ahead, share that in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. So welcome also the hashtag Happy Laugh Hour. Want to make sure that you're getting your laughs in for the day. And this is where you can bring your B.Y.O.B, bring your own beverage. So what is your favorite beverage of choice? And so I am drinking lemonade today. Yes, lemonade. And I love this. It's in my Yeti cup. I love it because it keeps all my drinks nice and cool all day long. Refreshing. Excellent. So this is a momentous day. Every day is a momentous day if you think about it. But today in particular, because this is a 21st episode, we did a major celebration last week of all 20 episodes. And now I'm embarking on the next 10, and today being the 21st episode. So a couple new things I'll be introducing because I would love to improve each and every time. And so in honor of today's guest, I'm super excited to bring her on. Her name is Amy Standridge, and I've gotten to know her recently through a Humor Academy, through AATH, and recently we were in a LinkedIn class together. So I'm so excited to get to know her and be part of her career and journey development, business development. And so our cartoon of the day is in honor of our topic about music therapy. So let me go ahead and share this on the screen. So this is something new I'll be doing each episode is I'll share a cartoon of the day. And this is all courtesy of humorpoint.com. So here we go. Hopefully this will bring a smile to your face. Harmony is when you find two notes that love one another. So I enjoyed this cartoon. I hope you do as well. And growing up, I used to always read the Sunday papers with my father. And he would, reserve the Sunday comics for me. And I always read them back and front to back. And the Family Circus was one of my favorites. I always loved these types of cartoons. So there you have it. That's our cartoon of the day. Excellent. And so now I'd love to please welcome Amy Standridge, who is going to be our guest of today. So here we go. Welcome, Amy. Ta-da! There she is. So a little bit about Amy. Amy is a board-certified music therapist, and she has experience working with clients of all different ages, levels, and abilities. She specializes actually in music therapy with individuals who have Alzheimer's and other related dementia, Parkinson's disease, and other neurodegenerative diseases, as well as their care partners and caregivers. And so it's a really holistic practice. I like how she involves community and families, caregivers, care partners together. And so she also is the co-founder of the Grace Notes Community Choir for people living with memory loss and their care partners too. So welcome, Amy, all the way from San Antonio. Welcome.
Thank you. You did a good job of saying music therapist instead of musical. Good job.
Well, I remember early on when we first met, I think I had mentioned musical therapy, and you made a very clear distinction. There is a distinction between music therapy and musical therapy. Would you like to share with everyone what the distinction is?
Sure.
And how credentials come into play?
Sure. Well, so as I researched it after the fact, I realized why people do tend to say musical therapist, because you have a physical therapist and an occupational therapist. And so I get it, musical therapist, but music therapy is a very specific profession. I say that any therapist can be musical. Your LPC might be musical. Your school counselor could be musical. But to be a music therapist, you have to have at least a bachelor's degree from an education from a university, and you do a clinical internship that's like 1,000,001 hours. It's actually 1,040 hours, but. And then a board certification exam, and every 5 years we keep up our credits by continuing education and so forth. And so music therapy has been around since 1950. It's the early 50s when it was found that veterans who had access to music in the hospital, World War II veterans, got out faster. Their recovery was quicker and better. And so they said, there's something to this. Let's make this a thing. So it's a thing.
And we have Mary Jo watching. So hello, Mary Jo. It is lovely to see you too, Mary Jo. Thank you so much for tuning in. Excellent.
So I know you have a question for me, but as I was trying to position my camera, I have a song in mind. Okay, ready? Me and my shadow strolling down the avenue. I got a shadow behind me. It's also my buddy. I could sing that one.
You never know when the musical inspiration hits you, right? So
Yep. Right between the eyes.
Right between the eyes. So did you always want to work with patients, senior patients with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease?
Not really. So when I applied for my music therapy internship, I tried to get into mental health. I was interested in working with adolescent mental health. And then what I ended up doing my internship was at a VA hospital in Topeka, Kansas. And I worked with veterans of all ages. So kids who are 19 and 20 and coming back from the war, injured and hurt and struggling with some mental health issues, some physical. And then I had clients who were in their 90s and had dementia. It was a really neat opportunity to get a really wide view of people. So, but even at that point, I didn't really intend to make that my life's work. I like everything. I'm interested in everything. So I kind of fell into working with older adults because in San Antonio, where I live, the older adult community is amazing. There's so many supports and programs and resources. A university, the big Center for Alzheimer's Research, lots of companies for people to find things to do and support and care groups, support groups, etc. And so as I met more people, which is another one of my favorite things to do is meet new people, it just kind of happened and it's been really fun and really rewarding. And it also makes me feel young. I'm not super young, but makes me feel a little bit young. So I like it. And everybody's young at heart. Some of my funniest friends are in their 80s and 90s. So
I love that because there's something special that, we can still have ties, right, to the older population and make them feel included. So I really believe that there's so many services in your area that, are available to make them part of the community, to feel included.
Yeah.
And there's so much, that, I love what you said too about being young at heart. And I think music really helps with that.
It does. Yeah, for sure.
Do you get any requests from your patients or, the clients that you work with for songs from their childhood, things that will help them reminisce?
Yeah, so it does. And so there's some research shows that the songs that you listen to between the ages of 10 and 30 are the songs you really relate to as an adult. I find that a little bit, although I was born in the 70s and I don't really relate to 80s and 90s music, but I love 70s music. So there's no formula. And we really, as music therapists, we go by what our clients like. So, and we'll learn those pieces of music for them. So here in Texas, I got a lot of requests for country songs and hymns, and people who are in their older ages now, my age and above, love music from the 60s and 70s. And so it's a really wide range. And part of being a music therapist is being able to pick up a different instrument, learn how to play a song in the style in which it was intended. Like I could try to rap, but this is not coming from me. It's not going to be in the style and culture to which it belongs. And so in that case, I would do a recorded music, but mostly we do live music and mostly what the clients prefer. I find that the song that most people know and really get emotional about is You Are My Sunshine. And that's a song that teenagers know as well. And they don't know it they don't know, maybe that might not be their listening preference. But hey, if Rick Astley can come back, maybe You Are My Sunshine could come back. But that's to me, that's like a universal song that people enjoy. But if you don't enjoy it, I'm not going to sing it to you or with you because, that's not fun. I like to have fun.
That brings up a really, poignant memory that I had because my brother was in hospice and he had a music therapist and we sang the song "You're My Sunshine." And I had, had heard of the song growing up, but I never really, thought much of it until she brought it in and played the guitar with my brother, and then we have the CD recording of him singing, and it's one of the things I treasure the most because he's not with us anymore. But it's one of the things I treasure the most, that I have that recording of him and singing "You're My Sunshine."
Yeah. Yeah, that's really important. That's really important to have those kinds of life records. I mean, I don't do a lot of hospice work. I have in the past, but having your loved one's voice on a recording and something so sweet and intimate as singing, that is just special. My dad died of cancer 10 or 11 years ago or so, and I was unable to be there. He lived in Iowa, and I lived here in San Antonio. And but I called him on the phone not too long before he passed away and sang Rocky Mountain High by John Denver, because I relate to the music that my parents listened to, John Denver, Simon and Garfunkel, Crosby, Stills and Nash, that kind of music. And so I called over the phone and I sang, Rocky Mountain High, one of his favorite songs. I couldn't see him, but I know he could hear me, and that brought me peace. And I think that also brought him peace. So singing is a really, really intimate way of expression. Like when you have an instrument, you not hide behind, but if you have an instrument in front of you, you have a barrier between you and your person you're working with or singing with. And when you don't, it's like, it's all you. So it's really sweet to have that. I'm glad you have that memory.
I do. And I hadn't thought about it recently until now you brought it up. That and it's amazing. It's one of the most popular songs that connects. And I was wondering, do you record, some of your patients and kind of leave that as a memento for family?
I haven't done much of that, but people do. A musical life review is really neat, where, you can kind of like, you would take a person who through the stages of their life and what kind of music did they listen to when they were a kid, and what was their wedding song, and then what was their favorite song, what song reminds them of work, what song reminds them of their spouse, maybe their spouse has passed away, and then what music do they like now, and you can incorporate for sure some recordings in that. There's also something called heartbeat recordings I have not done, but I know that other music therapists do that. I can't speak any more to that, but I would be interested in hearing more about that, but I haven't done that before.
Wow, so many avenues. I like that musical life review. It's kind of like having a soundtrack, right? Like your favorite top hits of different models of life.
Yeah, I've done one. I love Spotify. I have a Spotify playlist, My Life in Song or something like that. And it has Funky Town, and it has like Friends in Low Places, Sweet Child of Mine. When I hear those first couple notes of Sweet Child of Mine, I'm like, oh, in my heart, it just takes me back immediately. So that's something fun that you could do, and anybody watching could go do that right now. It doesn't have to be Spotify, but make a little, we used to call it the mixtape, right? Make a little life review mixtape. And you could also do those for like when recordings when you need energy, recordings when you need calm, recordings when, in the case of people living with dementia, I mean, they call it the longest day, like the days stretch really, really long. And you can use music in those different times to cue that, hey, it's dinner time, mealtime. Hey, here's some relaxing music. It'll make bathing easier. In the evening, something called sundowning, that people with dementia, that happens, that their clocks get off a little bit and they get kind of agitated, right when you want people to, right when you would normally consider, hey, let's chill, people get kind of ramped up. And so music can really help with that as well. So there's so many ways that you without being a music therapist at all, you can use music for your own health and self-care as well.
I recall there was a time during the pandemic that it was really challenging, that you couldn't go out, to your normal spots and to work with your patients. Can you talk a little bit about that, and how did you overcome that part of that? Is it still something you're still working through?
Yeah. Well, another song just comes to mind. If anybody used to watch, there's a TV show, Zoom, and they had they did this, and they had this little theme song, I'm gonna Zuma, 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 Zoom. That's what got us through the pandemic as even as music therapists. It was awful. I mean, everybody knows it was awful. I'm sure everyone knows somebody who passed away or got very ill, or because I work with older adults, and I had some clients who lived in memory care communities and assisted living, and they shut their doors entirely. One, that totally isolated the residents from their families. People died alone. I mean, how depressing, how sad, how heartbreaking. And we couldn't go in either, and all the programming stopped. And that's really important for this, for older adults in general, but especially people with dementia and their care partners. They get isolated anyway. And that was just like the curtain just fell. And so that was really hard, but necessity is the mother of invention. So I didn't see my private clients during that time. And sadly, the private clients that I had before, who I really enjoyed working with, because they were older, they were in their 90s, they passed away of just natural causes. It wasn't even COVID, but when you're 96, you don't have 25 more years left to live. And so that was really hard. And I felt like I couldn't support my people. Those are my people, and I miss them so much. And but I was doing the Grace Notes choir at the time. And at that point, so right now, Meals on Wheels San Antonio funds our choir. And they've been so supportive and amazing. And it's an awesome shout out to Meals on Wheels San Antonio. But at that time, we were sponsored by UT Health, Caring for the Caregiver program. And Dr. Carol White was the director of that program. And she said, can we go online? Because at that point, everything had to go online. And absolutely, we didn't miss a beat. We took 2 weeks off trying, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And then we went on Zoom, and there we stayed for a year and a half at least. And so that kind of saved my professional sanity. I mean, I am a wife and mom, and I love my family, and that brings me meaning, and also my work brings me meaning. So it was kind of like half of my meaning was just gone, and that was really hard for me. And that's how I got into the humor stuff. But yeah, gradually in April, our choir started meeting in person. We have a hybrid option, so that's an adventure. So I'm there directing a choir of people, and then a couple people are online, and so then I have to make sure they feel welcome, and I get on my knees and talk to them, and then I go back to the choir, and then anyway, it's crazy. But so we're still working it out. But I am back to in-person services with both private clients and groups. So that's really, really nice. And when I get overwhelmed with busy and I go, oh my gosh, I just need a break, I feel grateful that I have that at all, because it was very hard to not have that during the beginning of the pandemic. So thank you to technology.
Indeed. So big shout out to Meals on Wheels San Antonio for sponsoring the Grace Notes Community Choir.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize it was hybrid. I thought you did that all in person. So that's fascinating that people can still participate virtually. Yeah. So you're conducting the choir, like you have alto sopranos.
Well, yeah, I mean, so we're still pretty small. We're still rebuilding. I mean, last week was exciting because we had 3 new people who came in. So we meet in a local independent living community, which means that the residents who live there know we're there, and they can come through and sit and join. And then we also have probably most of our singers come in from the community, so they're still living at home, and they come to the independent living for a choir meeting. And so we're still quite small, and we don't have a lot of men, and because when we get older, our voices get lower, just like our muscles kind of relax and become more lax, so do our vocal folds. And so our voices tend to lower. Although I have one singer who has this amazing, beautiful soprano voice, and I just love singing with her because she leaves me in the dust, and she goes to the rafters. And then also because half of our members have some sort of a memory loss, it's not the same as a choir where the conductor does the 4-beat pattern or whatever. Like, our patterns just tend to be a little bit different. Lots of hand movements and eye contact and moving around. And so I direct the choir, and then every once in a while turn to the screen and try to encourage them. And then I have an accompanist, I have 2 actually, which is really nice. They play the piano. And we just started a new season, and we're doing some country music this time, and people are really, really jazzed about it, or not, because it's country, but you know what I mean. They're excited. Yeehaw!
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 I was thinking, because do you have specific techniques for the memory loss, right? They're not going to remember their place or the stanza they're supposed to be on.
Yeah. So that's where our community volunteers come in, and we need some more. If you live in San Antonio, call me. Because the idea is there's a choir based out of Minneapolis, Twin Cities, called Giving Voice Chorus. And they've inspired this network, an international network really, of related choruses who all support one another. And I forgot the question. Oh,
volunteers come in to help with
yeah. So the idea is you have a care partner and a person living with dementia. They're also a care partner. It's a give and take between the two. And so you have your care partner and you have your person with dementia, care partner too. And then ideally we would have a volunteer for every couple. The couples aren't always a husband and wife. Sometimes they're mother and sons. One time we had a duet that was a grandmother, granddaughter, and great granddaughter. How awesome is that to have that multi-generational? So the idea is then each pair, each group would have a volunteer who could help do those things. So the benefit of that is when you are caring for somebody with dementia, it can be obviously very stressful. And this is a great opportunity for a couple to come and do something valuable and fun, and it doesn't require a doctor's appointment. And maybe the care partner wants to sit with the soprano section and with their friends, and maybe their loved one with dementia wants to sit with the guys, and having the volunteers will help them do that, and will give the care partner a break and give the person with dementia an increased community. Last week we had a member come, a former member who comes here and there and supports us all the time. And he sat next to one of my regular singers, and he helped him find where he was in the book. I make it large print. I had a singer last week who was quite visually impaired, so now I'm gonna have to make her a new book. So this isn't really music therapy, it's more of a community music therapy, because to be music therapy, you're really addressing individual goals and objectives. And as a choir, we're just wanting to sing and make merry. So it's a little bit of a different model, but having the volunteers there, well, as a music therapist, we do have to adapt materials and make sure you don't have to flip pages back and forth, because then you get lost, and simplify some things. And this nice thing about music is it's so layered that there's something for everyone. So like, for example, I still do music therapy groups, but I'm thinking of one in particular where I went, and it was a big group, and it was a memory care. And some people were non-ambulatory and they were in wheelchairs and they were silent. Some people were asleep, and other people were really engaged and wanted to be involved. And other people were still really cognitive and wanting to input information and share memories. But since music is so layered and interesting, that there was something for everybody. So it's kind of the same thing in the choir. We try to do a lot of familiar music because it just feels good to just know it. But we do new music too, because it also feels good to be like, hey, I can learn new things. Even if I have dementia, I'm not done. We're still here. We can learn new things. So super fun.
Super fun. It sounds like it. So yes, so this is Amy's call for volunteers. If you're in the San Antonio area, we need more volunteers for Great Snows Community Choir. So please get in touch with her. It sounds like just a remarkable thing that you're doing to bring people together, and that they can still learn new things.
Yeah.
They can still learn new things. And I've also heard you say that, it doesn't have to be perfect, because singing, the music is all about the connection.
Yeah, for sure. We're so used to recorded music now, and recorded music has mostly been doctored and in the studio. And so it's pretty perfect. You're not going to hear a song on the radio that's not, produced to the nines and stuff. But when you're singing, you're going to make errors. Even the best singer, I'm not the best singer, but I can carry a tune. But yeah, it's not about being the best singer. It's about being a confident singer. I love to share that, because there's some really easy things that you can learn about that makes you a better singer. And statistically, a very, very small percentage of the population is actually tone deaf. People say, oh, well, I'm tone deaf. No, you're not. Because when we're hearing in people's voice inflections, those are tones. When you listen to a song, oh, I love that song by ABBA, those are tones, Hardly anybody is tone deaf. There are people, but there are a lot of people who aren't confident singers. And you know why? Because they don't sing a lot. Even though I'm not a great singer, I sing a lot. And so I just break out in song whenever.
And the other really, I think, unique aspect of what you provide too is that it's community, it's group based. So if people weren't ready for one-to-one, or they didn't, have the option available just yet, they could still, be part of the music therapy in a sense, in the group
Yeah.
setting.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. When you are working one-on-one, I know that, you do a lot of assessments. Can you talk a bit about kind of what the assessments would be for a
Yeah, for
family
sure.
considering you as a music therapist for their loved one?
Yeah. So any kind of therapy, you're working on something. It's therapeutic because you're working on something. So a physical therapist works on physical functioning. So does a music therapist in some cases. An occupational therapist works on activities of daily living and how are you going to continue to be functional when you need to be able to reach something in your cabinet, and they make that really fun. And then a music therapist, we need to know what we're trying to do. So we first do an assessment. So in my case, it just depends on the person. We say this about every single, label. One person with dementia, you've known one person. That's absolutely true. So you just don't know what you're going to get when you go in. So I'll go in armed with a variety of music that I can sing, a playlist from my Spotify that I could play if it needs to be recorded music, some instruments. I don't want to overwhelm anybody. I've had private clients who all they want to do, all they want is the companionship that comes with me coming over and singing with them for an hour, and they may or may not participate very much. Or if somebody is more cognitively declined in dementia, they may not be able to respond to my questions. But if I hold their hands and we sing, they come from a church background, and we sing hymns, and I hold their hands and stroke their hand, and they look at me in the eye, and those kinds of, that's an assessment right there. I mean, they need that connection. They need either the physical connection, or just being connected with people as well. I mean, in the later stages of dementia, you really do just forget yourself, how to do things. It's not all about memory. It's about the memory about how to do things as well. And things we take for granted, people with Alzheimer's specifically forget how to do. So one of the things the person might not be very alert about their situation. So we might say increased alertness, because the more you're looking around and more information you're taking in, the healthier you're going to be for longer. So the goal we might work on, depending on the person, might be increased engagement. Or music, the rhythmic function of music is really great for gait and movement. So gait's like walking, and movement's like anything you do, from just shifting your weight in the chair to walking, to using your arms. And so a goal might be to improve upper extremity mobility, or to improve gait, or crossing midline. I mean, that's one of the things that you have to be able to do to organize your brain and to make the two areas of your brain communicate to one another. So the things we just take for granted, I'm going to grab this over here. When you forget how to do that, you're losing that movement, you're losing those connections and things. And so movement is really important. Also, decreased anxiety would be a goal that I'd work on. I had a client who occasionally she would get real anxious, and I could tell because she would kind of scowl, and I would hand her an instrument, and she would play it, not aggressively, but with a scowl on her face, and play it really hard. And so then I would join her, and I would do the same thing with her, because we're mirroring one another. And I'm telling her through the instrument, I hear you, I get it. I'm not like, oh, be happy, woohoo. That doesn't ever work. And so gradually she eases up, and I ease up on the instrument. She eases up some more, and then we're smiling at each other. So she was anxious. I didn't say, don't be anxious. I embraced that musically, and then we moved on and went on to something else. So if we're not assessing and constantly going, is this working? Isn't that working? What are we working on? We also take data. Olivia will play an instrument with mallets in both hands for at least 2 minutes. Okay, so now we know she's engaged for at least 2 minutes. She's using both hands. That's important. And then we go check, she did or she didn't. If she did, and so dementia is a little bit different, because people with Alzheimer's and related dementias aren't going to get better. I mean, you can make little improvements, but your goal isn't to restore, life, or they're not going to get better. They're going to still have dementia. So a goal that you would work on with somebody who has Parkinson's disease, and you're working on gait or stroke, and they're relearning to speak, Gabby Giffords at Tier Memorial Hermann in Houston. Houston has the medical center there has an amazing music therapy program. We're working on it here in San Antonio, but Houston is is the model, I think, for that. But yeah, so we're constantly assessing, so we know what we're doing. We're professional care providers, and so we need to make sure that we're doing what we can to help.
Wow, I didn't realize how intricate that would be. Here I am thinking that music therapy is, helping with memory and bonding, relationship for sure. But I didn't realize all those things about just kind of help maybe reintegrate, right? Like learning those things, like the crossing the midline and practicing gait and movement.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a lot that we take for granted when we don't.
Yeah. And another way to do it, I mean, just observe. I'm just observing somebody. So the client that I was talking about with the drum, like I noticed that every time I put a music book in front of her or something, she would always look at it. And she'd look at the words, and I thought. So I asked her husband, "Hey, did she used to like to read, or was she a teacher?" Yes, I'm like, okay. So I wear a name tag normally. I don't have it. And she didn't speak very much. She wasn't able to say, "Hey, I'm hungry. Let's go get something to eat." She could say words now and again. But she looked at my name tag and she said, "Oak song." She read it. I'm like, what? And I was amazed, those kind of skills that you wouldn't expect to think. Like, did the music do that? I don't know. Did my presence do that? Maybe. But the point is, it happened. It doesn't matter why at that point. But that was pretty amazing. And we would sing hymns, and suddenly she would say, "Blessings," just random, where she'd tell me, "You're so cute." And I'm like, "Oh, you're so cute too. I love that." It was very fun to work with this person. She was like, in that point, kind of like my grandmother, she was just sweet. And for all I knew, she thought maybe I was her granddaughter, and that was okay, because we were connecting. And with somebody in an advanced state of dementia, to connect like that and make eye contact like that and be present like that is absolutely worth being in therapy.
Amazing. Speaking of Oak Song, how did you come up with that for your business name?
That was really fun, trying to come up with a business name. I'm like, oh, Amy Standridge Music Therapy. San Antonio. Well, what if I move? And that's a whole other interview. But yeah, so I wanted it to be. I remember kind of my thought process once I decided it. So, okay, so an oak song. So at that point, when I started the name, I wasn't absolutely going to focus on older adults. But if you think of an oak tree, it's wisdom, it's old, it's been there for a long time. It can provide shelter and shelter for people, and it's nurturing. But then, like an acorn, that's a little baby is an acorn, and then they have this potential to grow. And so I picked Oak Song, and I feel like nature is musical. So that's kind of where that came from. I thought it was a pretty versatile, and now I've focused on the older adult, not so much the younger. But yeah, so that's where Oak Song came from.
I think it's a beautiful image, right? Because I can see an oak tree being very wise and stable, right? Stands the test of time in a way, but has a nurturing presence as well. And they came from an acorn.
Yeah.
They didn't automatically become oak at one point. They were an acorn.
And little birds sing in the tree, and that's music. And little squirrels go. It's like an ostinato. The squirrels provide a rhythmic ostinato, and then the birds sing the song. And plus, I mean, in San Antonio, there are a lot of oak trees everywhere. Live oaks. It's fitting.
I think that needs to be a little like mini skit, Amy. Something about the oak song.
Yeah.
And the squirrel noises you just made.
Yeah, it sounds like an improv game, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I'm going to task you with that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Really fun. Really fun.
That's fun.
What else I want to ask you? So, in your Humor Academy, because now you are in your year 3, right? You just graduated. You're in year 2? You're in year 2. Okay, so how has your humor journey evolved and incorporated into your music therapy business now?
I love that question. So I've always appreciated humor. I grew up, my parents were funny, their friends were funny. I always appreciated the wit they brought and the inside jokes and all of that. And growing up, my friends who I grew up with who know me also now in some ways say, "You haven't changed, you're still silly and funny." And so as I've sort of investigated that part of my life, I realized it's always been there. But only with COVID and having to back off of my clinical practice that I go, I need to diversify here. I need to have something else that's going to bring me joy and fulfillment and education. And so I was doing a values inventory with a peer mentoring group I was in. And the thing that I answered every single question, they make it so that toward the end, you're like, what's the theme? Oh, fun and humor, fun and humor, fun and humor, fun and humor. I'm like, okay, well, that's great. But I'm like, it seems a little frivolous. Like that's nice and everything, but I need to find something like commitment and education and, integrity and all those things, which all of those things are wonderful. But my peers encouraged me to really investigate that because they said, we see that. And that's something that is one of your values. Yeah. To make things light and find fun and funny, even in times of darkness and stress. Like joking around is the way that I've dealt with stress forever. So I thought, okay, I'm going to research this. So what I did was I went online and I found Comedy Cures with Saran Rothberg. And they were hosting just that week a laughter summit. And I'm like, a laughter summit? That sounds awesome. So I'm going to do it. So I joined the laughter summit. I don't think it was Ron Burke. I think it was Lee Burke, but one of the Burkes, these great humor researchers came and spoke. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. And on the last day, Karen Buxman spoke, and maybe it wasn't Linda Seaman. I don't know, some other people from AATH. And I was like, Paul Osencup was there. And I was like, what is this AATH? So the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor, for those who don't know, it's this mystical, magical place, anyway. So they were talking about joining AATH and there was a conference coming up. I'm like, okay, I have nothing else to do and I don't have any clients. And so I went to that. I don't know, like in one day I joined AATH and like several hours later I registered for the conference, and like 2 hours after that I talked to Mary Kay Morrison, and then I was in the Humor Academy. I'm like, okay, so that's how I came to the Humor Academy though. So that was that online conference we had in 2020. Was it 2020? I think it may be 2021. I'm not sure, but when we weren't meeting in person. And Humor Academy started right away. And I love it because I love the people. I love people in general. The people in AATH and Humor Academy are really great. Obviously, that's how I know you, and Mary Jo, and great people. And I love learning new things, and I love brain research, and I want to know why. Like that's one of the things I love about music therapy, because there's so many things that music can do, and I'm interested in how music affects the brain. And then what I started learning when I was reading about laughter and humor and wit and mirth, how that affects the brain, very similar to how music does. And I thought, if you could pair those two, wow. So that's why I'm so excited about the Humor Academy. And so it's been really fun. That's kind of how I came to that. And one of the things before COVID hit on Friday afternoons after choir, I would just leave just feeling like $1 million, like totally actualized, like this is it. And part of the reason why it was so fun was because we laughed a lot. 2 guys in the back seat, 2 guys named Charlie, and they would clown around. One was 91 and one was 92, and they were lifelong friends. They were the funniest guys. And we always laughed so hard and had so much fun singing. And I would always leave going, I feel like, not to be morbid, but like I could die right now and I would be like, I'm happy, because it was just so fun. And then COVID hit, knocked that out. So to find the humor part again, and COVID wasn't funny, but sometimes humor isn't hilarious, sometimes it's poignant, right? This is hard, and here I'm going to make it funny, and it still hurts, but it's a little bit of a reframe. So that's how I've kind of incorporated it. And now that I know how important it is, and I had a client recently who actually didn't really respond so much to music. She talked a lot, but didn't really had stopped making sense. And I would sing, and normally when you would sing, the person would, listen and look and make eye contact. So those are kind of the goals we're looking at: engagement, participation, increased, expression. And she was very expressive. But one thing I found was when she would start talking about something and I didn't really understand what she was saying, I would latch onto one thing. This is improv, right? I latch onto one thing that she said, and I'd be like, well, that's going to happen sometimes, and she would look at me and she would say, yeah. And she would laugh and I would laugh, and we're just laughing at each other. And I'm like, and knowing how important that is, I'm like, that's like magic too. So it's awesome. I love it. The two go together like chocolate and peanut butter.
It is a loving and winning combination indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's So cool, Amy. Can you tell us a little bit about the project you might be working on? Because part of
Yeah.
Humor Academy is, conducting some sort of project and research.
Yeah. Yeah. So my project is putting together and presenting a keynote speech about music and humor and caregiving. So I've had the chance to do that a little bit. I gave the presentation to professional caregivers, so nurses at a conference, and I've done some older adult classes here in San Antonio. As I said, so many resources. So done some classes at a company or a community called Oasis Lifelong Adventure that has people come in and speak on everything from juggling to clowning to gardening to, business finances to medications to humor and music. Anyway, so I presented that there and just trying to see how I can further marry the two things about music and humor. And I wish I could say I was a great songwriter, because when you had Mark on, I don't remember his last name, but he had those fun songs that he wrote. I'm like, I'm going to do that. But so far, that's really not in my wheelhouse. But I'm no Figgy Hardwick. I texted him earlier. I was like, do you know this song? Because he's great too. But anyway, obviously music and humor do go together. So that's my humor project. And I guess so far I probably presented it to 50, 100, probably 150 people. And I guess maybe that's how you quantify it. Like, what's my goal? I don't like. It's my objective.
But you're doing it. No, you're totally doing it, Amy. And that's what's so inspiring, because there is, I think, a connection with music and humor. Like, you can combine the two, definitely make it super effective. So I think it's time for a musical interlude of your own. Do you have your guitar handy?
I do. So, all right. So I have my ukulele. This is a flea ukulele. It's shaped like a flea and it has this flat bottom. So do I, by the way. It could stand up on its own. This is why I have this instrument, because as a music therapist, we're always putting it down and picking it up. And carrying a guitar and a stand is a lot. Carrying this little flea is nothing. So I'll do this. All right. Does that sound okay? I know on Zoom you need to have original sound, but all right. So this is a little bit older song, but copyright's a thing. So I'm going to sing one of my favorite songs called 5'2" Eyes of Blue. It was written in the 1920s. So it's an old song. It's older than probably my client base would really relate to. They might relate more to the Beatles or something. And But all right, so here we go. Ready, go. 5'2", eyes of blue, but oh, what those 5 foot could do. Has anybody seen my gal? Turned up nose, turned down hose, that flapper, yes sir, one of those. Has anybody seen my gal? Now if you run into a 5'2", covered with furs, diamond rings and all those things, bet your life it isn't her. But could she love? Could she coo? Could she coo? Has anybody seen my gal? Could she love? Could she coo? Could she coo? Has anybody seen my gal?
Achoo! I like that reframe. The could you.
I know. I like to ham it up. So I do a lot of hamming it up when I work with older adults, because I know the humor piece is important. And as the dementia process progresses, the wit, the cognitive understanding may fade a little bit as the memory fades, but physical humor doesn't, because it's so visual. And so that's why I take, I make big faces and, play silly songs sometimes and in an animated manner, because then it's easily accessible to everybody when, it's funny when the person's winking and raising their eyebrows and stuff. So anyway, so that's one of my favorite songs.
It has a very catchy tune. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah. The chord progression of that song is the same one as Ain't She Sweet? And ain't she sweet, see her walking down the street. And then also there's, I think it's Jimmy Buffett, but sometimes I'm wrong. I wish I had a pencil thin mustache, the Laurel and Hardy kind. I think maybe I have the artist right, and the lyrics might be a little off, but that's okay because I sang them confidently. But it's the same chord progression. When Mark sang his songs last time, I got on the piano and played Heart and Soul. Bum ba dum dun 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 Heart and Soul. Because it went with what he was playing. So he was playing this a partner song. So he was playing something, and as I listened, I got out my instrument. So now our choir is doing. Thank you, Mark. Now our choir is doing. I Love the Mountains as partnered with Heart and Soul, and so that's been fun.
So that's like a mashup. Heart
Yeah.
and Soul, and I Love the Mountains.
A mashup. Yeah.
Mashup.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this instant collaboration. Something you saw Mark do on this show, and then you made it your own. I love it. Yay!
Yeah, well, it was fun. I mean, it was like we played together, and Zoom made that or whatever online meeting. This is hope you're not advertising your meeting profile, which is not Zoom, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, necessity, invention, chocolate peanut butter.
Yes, necessity. You had said it earlier. Necessity is the mother of all invention.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful, excellent. Well, Amy, in the time that we have left, it's time for a rapid fire question time.
Okay,
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. I can't wait. I was listening to the AATH podcast when Chip Lutz was doing it, and he did the questions. He did the would you rather. So this is good. But yeah, so I'm ready. I was always wanting to do that. So I'm ready. Rapid fire. Hit me.
All right, rapid fire. Here we go. I need to take a sip of water.
Okay. I know I'm all intense too. I'm like, I'm ready.
Okay. Here we go. Amy, what is your favorite thing about fall?
This is Texas. There is no fall. Texas, there is no fall. There is no fall. So leaves, autumn leaves. We don't have those either, but okay.
I'll take it. It's the autumn leaves. Okay. Where do guitar picks come from?
A stork.
So, with your name, AMY, Amy, make an acronym.
Awesome, melodious, and youthful.
There we go. Awesome. I like it. All right. Are you into pumpkin spice? Name something that should never have pumpkin spice in it.
Oh, tacos. Texas, y'all.
What non-existing job do you wish existed?
Oh, a professional graduate student.
And what do you love most about San Antonio?
The culture.
So speaking of culture, what's a hip thing to do in San Antonio?
Well, so our Latin culture game is strong here in San Antonio. I mean, most of our population is Latin American. Fiesta happens in April. I actually haven't been to Fiesta, but it's like a week-long celebration culminating in something called the Parade of Flowers. It has something to do with the Alamo. I'm not great for Texas because I'm just not a history buff, but going downtown to the Riverwalk at Christmas time is really cool because the lights are all on the river. You can go on boats. You can do a dinner cruise. And just get a feel for the people and the culture downtown. Yeah, downtown.
That sounds very hip. Yeah, like you'll be a trendsetter. Okay.
I mean,
how many times have you visited Alamo?
4.
And how do you feel about dinosaurs?
Oh, I like dinosaurs. I love the Jurassic Park movies, so I'm a fan.
I'm asking because that's our mascot, it seems, for the AATH conference next year.
Oh, is it?
They put dinosaurs everywhere.
That's so funny. I was like, Paul Osenkup this morning posted something, and he was giving a talk, and he was making a face, and I'm like, you look like a dinosaur, whatever. Which dinosaur are you? And he named one, and then I said, oh, I get it, but this is what I was thinking. He was like, no, that's what I was thinking. So anyway, so dinosaurs are big. They're big. I mean, not physically, but metaphorically. They are big physically, but I don't think they exist anymore.
They're making a comeback. I see them every day.
Maybe.
Name 2 dinosaurs that you know of.
Velociraptor and Brachiosaurus.
Oh, I don't even know to start spelling that.
You didn't ask me to spell it. You just said to name it.
So describe a mud pie.
Oh, a mud pie is a puddle outside filled with mud that when you're a kid, you might put it on your face. You might like a mask, put it on your face. I wouldn't do that now so much, but I probably did when I was a kid.
That's the first time I've heard that described that way. So nice.
Oh,
Describe your style in one word.
my what, myself?
Your style.
Oh, my style. Uh, classic.
Okay, I'll take it. Classic.
Comfortable.
Classic comfort. Okay.
Yeah.
Who would you love to be in the recording studio with?
Oh gosh. My initial answer was John Denver because I just loved him. But I also love, I don't know. I like Yanni. I love his piano music. I don't know. Figgy Hardwick.
Okay. I'm putting it out there. Yanni and Figgy Hardwick.
Yeah, John Denver's out. I love John Denver. Yeah, I have to think about that too. So I'm teaching music appreciation right now at a local university, and the students bring me their favorite music, and so my musical tastes and appreciation. As I'm teaching the class, I'm also learning to appreciate different styles of music that I might not have listened to, and then I get to share my favorites with them. So it's fun.
I can imagine like the generational differences.
Yeah, I know it is. It's crazy, but some of them do like Queen and the Beatles, and so okay. So I'm going to change my answer. So I love ELO, and the name of the guy is Jeff Lynne, and so that would be I guess maybe that would be my answer because I think he is so talented, and also I think he's really funny, like his lyrics and his music. It always makes me smile and laugh, and so that's my answer. I'm to change Jeff Lynne from ELO. If you're out there, Jeff.
Yes. Call Amy.
Maybe. Call me maybe.
Excellent. So what is the title of your music album with Jeff Lynne?
Oh gosh. That's my creative style is not there anymore. It is Let's Laugh. I don't know. I got nothing. It took me forever to come up with Oak songs, so I don't think I can do that on the spot.
All right. That'll be your homework tonight. So if you were
Okay.
to be in a recording studio and make a music album with Jeff Lynne, music album title.
Okay. All right.
Report
Homework.
Okay.
Yay.
Is there an instrument that you would love to learn?
The cello.
Yo-Yo Ma.
So beautiful.
I'm a huge fan of Yo-Yo Ma. Okay.
When I hear a cello melody in a song, I'm just like, oh, I want to play the cello. Yeah, beautiful.
It's a very intriguing instrument. Okay. What is the first concert you ever attended?
Oh gosh, I think it was maybe Huey Lewis and the News. It was either Huey Lewis or John Denver. One of the two. I think it was Huey Lewis, though. I think I saw John Denver with my friends when we were seniors in high school. So I think it was Huey Lewis and the News.
And I know who they are too. So Huey Lewis and the News. Excellent.
If This Is It. I love that. If This Is It was my song I liked. Yeah.
Wonderful. What is the last game that you played with your kids?
The meme game.
What is that game?
That's called. So we also play Cards for Humanity for families. There's a lot of like body functions in there, but not like the ones in the regular. I mean, like there's a lot of bathroom humor. Let's say there's a lot of bathroom humor in that game. But the meme game is kind of similar. So there's a pile of cards that's like a picture that you would have on a meme, and everybody has like 5 or so meme words in their hands, and then everybody gives the person who chose the meme their cards, and then the judge picks the one they thought was the funniest or fit the best. And I just think I think it's called What Do You Meme?
What do you meme? Okay. That's awesome. Excellent. I didn't even know they made a version of Cards Against Humanity for families.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is different. I'll have to look it up.
If you're into bathroom humor, you'll love it.
Got it. Now, do you have a nickname for your kids?
Yes. I have Jenna Boo, Andy Rue, and Eric. He's the kid who I go, I love you, Eric, and he goes, I know. So he's not a fan of nicknames. What do I call him? Buddy? Guy? No. Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
What do they think about your musical choices?
You know, they don't. Yeah, I don't. What do they think about my musical choices? I don't know. It's so funny. My daughter was listening to something, and I said something about Billie Eilish, and she's like, "You know who Billie Eilish is?" I'm like, "What do you look like? What do you look like? What do you think of me?" Yeah, my kids are mostly interested in music, but they listen to different things than I do, but they think it's okay. Actually, my middle son, is really into classic rock and grunge and 90s grunge and alternative, and he's in the band. He's teaching himself. He plays the tuba, but he's teaching himself trombone and playing My Funny Valentine. So his music tastes are really eclectic, which is fun because my husband's also a classic rock guy. So they've really bonded over that. And my son will play something on the tuba, and then he'll play it on my piano, and then so that's really cool. So they're all musical.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And will you be taking them to their first concerts if you haven't done so already?
Yeah, yes. I wanted to take my daughter. There's a group called Black Violin, and there's these two classically trained violinists and violists, and they have a DJ who's awesome. I never knew what a DJ was until I went. I mean, I knew what it was, but I was wrong, But Black Violin is a great group, and she wanted to go, but I missed the concert date, and so yeah, my husband and I were supposed to see Kansas and 38 Special, but they had to cancel for COVID, and this was recently. They got sick, and so we're supposed to see the Doobie Brothers coming up in October and the band Yes. And my son would love to go see that, but he has a band concert. So
Wonderful. It is a pleasure getting to know you, Amy, in this way. So congratulations. You have passed rapid fire questions.
Yay, I get an A.
You do indeed. Excellent. Well, thank you, Amy, for your generosity and just being on here on the Get You Happy On show. I really do enjoy your just your wisdom and knowledge and all that you've shared with us so far. And so for those of you looking to connect with Amy, please do so. You can find her on LinkedIn. This is her link right here on the screen. So go check it out. And Amy does these amazing posts where she's talking about, just different things she does with her business and her clients. And she does these little YouTube shorts. So you can check those out on LinkedIn. And then if you want to subscribe to the full channel, this is her YouTube channel here. So go ahead, give her a thumbs up. And then follow Oak Song Music Therapy and Consulting Services on Facebook. So there you go. And I'm sharing these links with you so that way, you know that you can connect and collaborate with Amy. So if you're in the San Antonio area, for sure, please look up Grace Notes Community Choir and be a part of all that too. So excellent. Well, thank you, Amy. And
Thank you.
You have been such a delightful guest to have on today.
Yay. Thank you. It was really fun. I'm glad we got to link up.
Yes. We're linked in and linked up and linked together.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so I'm going to tell on Olivia. So at the recent conference we went to, I met Olivia because she slept on a little cot in our room, but she's little, so she's just so cute. She just fit right in behind the bed. And so flexible and positive, and her alarm in the morning says something like, "It's a bright, sunshiny new day." I don't remember, but I do remember going, that's cute.
I know. Well, it's better than the
Yeah, it is. No, it was really sweet. I could use to wake up a little bit more cheerful than I do. I'm trying to do my gratitude in the morning. When I wake up stressed about something, I'm grateful I have this thing, I'm not prepared for this, whatever. Yeah, but I have the opportunity. I'm grateful for that. So that helps me in the mornings, but I'm not a morning person. Anyway, thank you so much, Olivia.
Here's an idea, because you've got Spotify. You can connect your Spotify as an alarm, and maybe you wake up to cello music in the morning.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, cool. I do like that.
All right, Amy, have a fantastic day.
Bye, you too.
Days later. Bye. you so much for watching Get Your Happy On. Have you enjoyed today's episode? I invite you to comment. So please share with us your thoughts and ideas in the comments. We'll be checking and would love to reply back to you. Please also connect. Connect with each of our amazing special guests and connect with each other here in the comments as well. This is a great way to network and to make new friends. And finally, collaborate. I would love to find ways to collaborate with you or help you to find collaborations with vast people in my network. So remember, comment, connect, and collaborate. Thank you again. See you next week.